Hey there, and a massive welcome to all our subscribers, first-time viewers, and of course LinkedIn members to a one-off special where I'm going to be joined by a very special guest, Cher Fox, where we're going to be bringing together the worlds of data and cybersecurity whilst learning about Cher's journey and the intersection of the two industries. Also, if you tune in till the end, a very exciting announcement about an event in Denver, Colorado later this year. But before we talk about that, a little bit about our guest today. Cher is a true data geek that's been solving the data puzzle for over 35 years. And as the president and founder of Fox Consulting, she advises organizations to proactively define and optimize their processes, enhance quality standards, and resolve their most painful data insight issues. She's recognized internationally, having spoken at over 24 conferences, and is known for championing process excellence and risk mitigation and empowering organizations to embrace change whilst unlocking the full potential of their data assets. On a personal note, Cher's been married for 25 years and is a very proud dog mom. And we've been talking about that a little bit before the show. We might even talk about it online today. She's also the VP of Marketing for the Data Management Association, Rocky Mountain chapter. But before we bring Cher on, and for those who are new to the channel, I'm your host, Simon Lindstedt, and by sharing stories and best practices over the last few months, it's led to over 200,000 views here on YouTube by you, our amazing 11,112 subscribers. And let's not forget where all of this started. This all started in the amazing InfoSec Live community, where over 6,000 people now are collaborating with study groups, mentor sessions, and regular networking events to help you raise your game in cybersecurity, no matter what stage you are in your career. So if you haven't checked it out, if you haven't joined, QR code is there. If you're not brave enough to scan it, if you work in the industry already, I can assure you it is safe. But if you'd rather use a link, there will be a link to that and to Cher's business in the description on YouTube later. If you'd like to support the wider InfoSec Live community, or just buy me a cheeky decaf coffee, we do have a way you can show your appreciation right here on our YouTube channel with 3 tiers of membership, allowing you to show your support in any way that you can. But whether you join or not, being here and engaging with our content is what really matters. And each and every one of our shows gives you, the audience, the chance to engage with our guests. So if you've got any questions, please make sure you drop them in the chat. Time for me to stop rambling. Let's bring Cher on. Welcome.
Hi, what a great graphic. And the sound.
Thank you.
And all the music. Like I can see everyone in the chat jamming. They're like,
we're trying to get pumped up. I have cut the intro down. It used to be about 7 minutes long. I think people tuned out before we actually got to the guests coming on, so I cut that back a few months ago. But no, look, thank you so much for taking the time to come on and share today. We've spoken a few times before this event, and we'll probably discuss that a little bit more towards the end of the show. But for those that don't know you who've tuned in, could you tell us a little bit more about Cher, about your background?
Awesome. Well, I do have a unique name. My mom used to work for Sonny and Cher in the late 1960s. So that's a small claim to fame. About me. So I definitely started my IT journey very young and in probably a different fashion than most people did at that time. When I was 12 years old, my dad brought home a Commodore 64 computer, a home computer. He got, I know it's an archaic device now, but he had gotten a discount on it from the company that he worked at. And I spent some time in front of it, shoving that floppy disk in and typing in the commands. And I basically self-taught, how to program a bit.
Basic, wasn't it? Was it basic programming then, wasn't it?
It was super basic. I mean, you definitely had to put if the floppy drive wasn't in, not much happens.
I can't remember whether it was the same, because I did have a 64, but before that I had the ZX Spectrum, which was like the British competitor to the Commodore, and
Yeah,
the language on that was actually called Basic Programming Language, I think.
yeah, I think IBM had a Tandy model kind
That's
of at
right.
that time
They did.
that came
Yeah.
out like a year before, not necessarily the Commodore was released, but the year before the Commodore entered my life. Um, that also, when I was 12, happens to be the year that I met my husband. So I've known him since I was 12 and he was 9. So, but we didn't date until much later in life. When I was 15, I actually left high school during the day to do kind of a work release program, and I started programming applications for those light up coasters that you might get at a Chili's restaurant or at an Outback Steakhouse for your table reservation. So that was something really unique I got to do very early on, and I was actually paid for it. So I started programming and working with data, at a really, really young age before I even graduated high school. Um, when I was around 17, I had graduated high school. I graduated very young. I started young. I started when I was 4 years old. So, um, but
Is that young? Is that young for the US then? Is that
to
your
start first grade at 4
Yeah.
years old is very young for the
Okay.
US. Yes.
Yeah.
And I I was a little ahead. My
I,
mom had spent a lot of time with me as a child with flashcards and workbooks and things like that. So I was just a little bit ahead of everyone else and got started a little bit early, but that set me up to finish a little early, which is
it's
hard.
funny how different we are, right? So I also started school between 3 and 4, but I think I started not because I was ahead of everyone else. It's because my mum had had enough of me being at home.
Uh,
So
Mine too. Like if you were sick, you were going to school. So I did my part. I gave you your foundation, and it's time to set you on your way. But after I graduated from high school, I went down to a local temporary agency, and they had more self-teaching opportunities. So I learned the entire Lotus Smart Suite. I actually learned how to do data analytics in Lotus 123 for DOS. So that's pretty archaic as well. I learned the word perfect suite. I learned the Corel, which it was they absorbed Corel, and I learned the Microsoft suite. And then I was able to start being placed at companies and really started working, through my data analytics career. Um,
and what did that look like when you first started then, Cher? What kind of roles were you doing?
Oh, I was an admin assistant. I was me. We didn't really call things data analyst at the time. I might have been called a programmer. I worked my way through some temporary roles, and then I landed on a programming team where we were developing a cash management software. And the company that I worked for got absorbed and purchased by a company out of Basingstoke, England.
No
And
way.
and they kind of dispersed my team, but they kept me. I had become the trainer, I had become the programmer, I had become the technical support on this product. And I was young, so I think I was probably a really good financial deal to keep on. Um, but I stayed, and I had some really great mentors and some people that really believed in me. And I moved up very rapidly in my career. And after 10 years in corporate America, I was, handling mergers and acquisitions and product acquisition, very early in my 20s. And then right before Y2K, um, our parent company out of England ended up shutting our division down, and I ended up starting my own company to support all of my clients that I had been working with for, gosh, almost 5 years, and had developed a 24/7, help desk customer support relationship with. So I was out of a job. They didn't have an 800 number to call anymore to get help. Y2K was coming, and I didn't have a non-compete. So it made sense for me to start my own company at 25 years of age as
Wow.
a single young woman, and, get that next chapter of my career started.
Amazing. So is that is that Fox Consulting as it is today then, Cher?
Correct. Yes. So that has developed into Fox Consulting. We originally started with just doing data integrations, Y2K support, data migrations for our clients, and technical support. I was living in the state of Iowa at that time. And then my husband said, let's move, let's have an adventure. So we moved to Colorado. I had to build a whole new network from scratch. I had to start over finding new clients from scratch. Denver's luckily a beautiful tech hub here, so it was really easy for me to make the relationships and build the relationships that I needed to be successful here. I still continued on with data analysis in, Microsoft Excel, maybe using a little Microsoft Access, a little dirty little secret that we don't like to talk about, but using those free tools that are on our desktops, or, the licensing that our companies or our clients have paid for, and realizing, really maximizing those tools to do data analytics. Now, gosh, we do data strategies, we implement data governance frameworks, we work on data quality initiatives. We partner with our clients on really everything and anything data they need, which also includes, information security in today's landscape. So
Absolutely. Thank you, Cher. And for those of you who haven't noticed it, there is a QR code up on the screen if you want to find out a bit more about Fox Consulting. I will also drop that link in the description afterwards for those who are too scared to actually scan that with the camera. I do completely understand. We do have a question in from Prashant. Do you mind if we pick that up before we move on to the next question? Let me just get rid of this QR code.
Let's go.
Let's go. It is. What is the best way to learn about data analytics or data analysis, and what free tools can we start using to help us understand the concepts? Thanks, Prashant. Good question.
Yeah, this is a really popular topic on social media. I think following people that are working in the data analytics space, they have so many great ideas of how they got started, how they built their portfolios, and how those portfolios help them get work or upskill or, get promotions in their work. There's organizations out there that can help you learn how to do data analysis. DAMA, the Data Management Association, is a good one. The Data Governance Institute is a good one.
Let me get these links in. Let me just Google
There's
these while you're
so
saying it.
many.
So the first one was DAMA, did you say?
DAMA is a good one. Yep, we have a whole chapter
the
in our
link
book about data analysis in our DIM box. So,
and what was the next one you mentioned?
the Data Governance Institute.
Thank you.
So, and the third one I really wanted to think about was Dataversity. I think they're dataversity.net. They have some really great courses that can help people get to know more about data analysis and getting into data analytics. I think LinkedIn Learning even has some really good courses, and some of those might be at no charge. So,
did you say Dataversity? Was that the last one?
Dataversity. Yep. I think they're dataversity.net. For some reason, that's coming to mind. So, and then what free tools can you start using? We all have Microsoft Excel on our desktops. If you don't, Google has smart sheets that you can certainly utilize. And I'll tell you, spreadsheets are still number one. It's what accountants get started in. It's what I, as a consultant, end up having to rebuild on a BI platform. It's very well guarded because, somebody's been doing an Excel all this time. They have these amazing VLOOKUPs and all these formulas and all this vast programming in there because, that's it's familiar to people, and it's what they have the most access to. You can also download Power BI Desktop. Microsoft, you can put that right on your desktop for free and start hooking that up to data sources. I still use Microsoft Access here and there. Somebody said in the chat, it's MS SQL on steroids. I think it gives you a really nice blend of visualizations and working with data, but having that user interface that you understand. So building a form and building your queries and things like that. I think that's just it's still just such a powerful tool that comes with our our Microsoft Pro license. So you can also download Microsoft SQL Developer. You can put that right on your desktop, start writing SQL queries. Most data analysts, I feel, should be able to write a simple SQL statement, select from where, and then you can Google 100,000 variations of how to bring that data set, down to, a more manageable size with all of the power that you can harness using Microsoft SQL. I got into conference speaking kind of late into my career, and it happened because a colleague of mine who's an agile coach asked me to speak with her on the technical portion of her presentation. And we ended up setting out to evaluate all the test automation frameworks that were out there. And by doing that, we learned so much about what all the vendors had to offer, but we also knew that purchasing a tool was a huge roadblock for a lot of agile test automation teams and agile BI teams. And so we thought, what if we could build something for free? What if we could build something for free and socialize that out? So we spent 6 months meeting with vendors, investigating tools, and starting to build the free test automation framework.
Oh,
And what were the tools that were in there? Microsoft SQL, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Access, Power BI. We did throw Tableau on it on the end, but Tableau, even just for a developer license, you still have to pay for that. So
yeah.
it's, there are ways of harnessing tools, and oddly, Microsoft has made it the most reasonable to.
You're making me feel bad. I've just moved across to Google away from Microsoft, and I'm really struggling with
It's
Google
okay.
Sheets because nothing's in the right place anymore. I'm ever so confused.
It's okay. I spent so many years in the Lotus Smart Suite because of the company that was
Me
based out of
too. Well,
England.
it's funny you should say that because the company in England who I worked for were also based in Basingstoke when I had my Lotus Notes. But I think you said it was a financial reporting software business that you
Yeah, it
worked
was a
for.
cash
But
management
cash
systems.
management, that's it. I used
Yeah.
to work for a company called Sun Life Financial of Canada, and I worked for them for 2.5 years before they made us all redundant in the UK back in 2000. Yeah.
Yep. And on that test automation framework, we had some PowerShell. Somebody's mentioning you wrote DOS, or somebody
Yeah.
mentioned DOS. So there's all these free tools that we can harness to interact with data. So that should never be a roadblock for anyone to get into data or to start their data analytics journey.
And do you see, I'll go back to speaking in a moment. Do you see this industry growing massively over the next few years? And when it comes to employment opportunities, because we get a lot of people watching who are either looking to break into tech or looking to break into cybersecurity. I mean, data is the new gold. Surely that's a great place to start a career at the moment as well.
Yep, you've said it. Data is the new oil. It's the new gold. It's the new, it's money. Companies are monetizing the value of data.
Yeah.
I think data analytics has grown a lot. I think it's still going to grow. It's very important for companies to have accurate data insights so that they can make decisions for their company and plan strategically. It's also, we added that sexy new job title of data scientist a few years back. And I think we're still figuring that out because when we introduced it, most companies and organizations weren't ready for data science. They had data quality problems. Data scientists were coming in and they were being data engineers and data analysts and kind of data janitors. That
Yeah.
tends to be a lot of the part of a data scientist's role. But a lot of companies can't afford to have, well, this is a data analyst and they do
No.
these very specific things. And this is a data scientist and they do these very specific things. And this is a data engineer and they do these very specific things. We have a lot of merging in between roles and responsibilities. So I think as that continues to happen and budget constraints and resource constraints still seem
Yeah.
to be a part of our industry in tech with hiring
I
and
think they
jobs.
are for every industry at the moment, aren't they? It's
I,
very
I
tough.
think I think as that's a challenge, where it more the opportunities to grow in data analysis will continue to be there. I hate to see data scientists coming out of college with masters and PhDs and then just sitting on a team being a data analyst. I think they're giving away that education to companies and
Yeah.
training them that they can get so much more for so much less. So I would encourage people that are getting that level of education and really gaining that level of expertise in statistics and modeling and machine learning and things like that, that they do try to find those opportunities in data science and around data science and AI and training AI and machine learning. But we all have to put food on the table. So if you get into a data analysis position or get into a data engineering position, make the most of it and
And
try to expand
is
it.
is that a stepping stone to a data scientist career if you've already got the qualifications then coming in as a data analyst?
I think it can be, but I also see that there's a lot of emphasis on education, especially there is for us in the States. I only have an associate's degree. I went to college to be actually an electrical engineer. Um, that didn't pan out. I was getting relocated for the companies that I was working for mergers and acquisitions. I was registering for class, canceling class. I was lucky to get done with an associate's, and I swear that company and tuition reimbursement, they ended up paying for a master's for me for all the classes I started and didn't finish. So luckily I had tuition reimbursement, but I still bump my head, on the paper ceiling pretty frequently, even as a contractor or a consultant, with 35 years of experience. So I think data science, I think data analytics, data engineering can be a stepping stone to data science, but it's really going to depend upon your organization's
Yeah.
requirements and how much emphasis they have on education. Can you substitute certifications? Sure. Are there other paths? I think so, but I don't know if the norms in the hiring process and the promotion process have gotten there yet.
No, because like me, you've worked for yourself for over 20 years. And you do become a little bit out of touch with the rest of the market in that respect, don't you, with regards to hiring practices and what people are expecting. I was going to mention the diversity question. My mother, as an example, because she's on my mind at the moment, she was a solicitor or a lawyer, as you
Mm.
call them in the US, and she was the first female lawyer in our kind of geographical area because it was just an unheard of thing. And she had throughout her whole career misogynistic idiot men making her life very difficult. Have you managed to avoid the misogynistic idiot men through having your own business, or do you still come across those awful people?
Unfortunately, they do still pop up like whack-a-mole. I think it, it,
Yeah.
it, it does happen. I'm in my very early 50s now, and I still have older white gentlemen,
Yeah.
criticizing, trying to put me in my place, etc. I've been really lucky that I was empowered by men throughout my
Yeah.
career. One of my biggest inspirations is a mentor of mine. He was with me very early in my mergers and acquisitions career. He promoted me annually. He paid me properly. He helped me buy my first house as a single young woman. I bought a brand new house. To have that kind of support, I don't think everyone's getting that, and you do need
No.
that. But he also taught me how to stand up for myself. I'm not a tall, imposing woman by any stretch, but I do wear heels and I do lift weights. So there can be times I can be a little bit imposing if I've got to on tall enough shoes and I'm posturing my figure
Do you know, I
appropriately.
don't I don't think height has got anything to do with it. I mentioned this earlier on in our call. My wife is a very slight lady at about 5'2.5", and she scares the life out of me. And I'm 6'1", so I don't think height's got anything to do with
We,
it.
we, we, we can punch up for
Yeah,
sure.
that's what it is. It's the uppercut you've got to watch out for, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we just everybody has to keep, equity and diversity and inclusion open.
Yeah,
It seems like there was this time when we were all focused on women, and then we were all focused on LGBTQ, and now we're all focused on DEI is now the
yeah.
buzzword and the things that we're focused on. It seems to kind of
We
change
just need a
every.
balance everywhere, don't we?
And
Is
yeah,
what we
we
need.
just we really just need a
Yeah,
balance to include everyone everywhere.
yeah.
So, and not have some of these challenges that do still sadly pop up. So
And
it
as
does
and as
happen.
Alana's mentioned in the chat, she said I love allyship in the workplace. It makes a big difference, and I think it does, doesn't it? It really, really does for everyone. And Prashant's put Cher Fox the boxer, best not mess. So yeah, you better remember that, Prashant.
I actually was an amateur boxer for a couple years.
There
So
we go. Even more reason not to mess with her now. Look, we've gone off topic a bit because I'm really good at that. I want to bring it back. You've done tons of speaking gigs, and I want to know
Mm.
from you on the coalface, as we say here in the UK, what are the hottest speaking topics in the industries at the moment?
Right now this year, I'm speaking a lot about data governance, which has a lot of overlap into IT governance
Yeah.
and information security governance. With that, we're talking a lot about data stewardship and finding those champions in your organization who, really are the cheerleaders for data quality best practices. Tomorrow, I'm speaking in person at my local DAMA chapter on data quality best practices. So we'll see how that goes. And this morning, I spoke on information security for EC Council on a webinar, and explaining kind of the CEO and our executives' roles in information security, what we should expect of them to materially participate in, and what we expect of them to just really oversee and support us in. So, and the biggest challenge we had this morning and the questions that kept coming were, how do I communicate upward? How do I get them to listen? How do we get them to invest in tools? So we definitely have a disconnect in our collaboration and our communication between those that are on the ground fighting the battles and the generals that are behind us
And,
that
and I'll
have
tell you, I'll tell you what
plans.
makes me laugh sometimes. And I'm a great advocate of being able to tell a story and the importance of storytelling. But it doesn't matter how good a storyteller you are if you're up against a CEO with such a closed, fixed mindset that it doesn't matter how good you tell your story, that's still not going to engage with what you're doing. And you see a lot of finger pointing in the cybersecurity industry around that. Well, if you could tell a story and explain it to the board, they'd buy in. Well, in all honesty, it's not always like that, is it?
No, you definitely have to speak to executives, your board, your stakeholders. You have to speak in alignment with their business objectives, and you have to speak in financial terms, because if it's going to hit their pocketbook one way or another. Are we going to buy the tools and the security that we need, or are we going to pay the fines and the penalties when we're not complying with regulations, or when we do have a ransomware event?
Thanks, Cher. We're really short of time, so I'm going to
I
bring up
know. So
one
Simon,
more.
what
No,
have
no, no, no,
you
no,
been
no, no,
working
no.
on?
We can't. Let me just do this one first. Do this question first from Prashant, because I'd like to know the answer to this as
Oh,
well. I've got an understanding of IT security governance, but how does data governance work?
oh my gosh, I don't think we have enough time left for that. I should probably
Can
just
can I
send in
put your
my
can I
slides.
put your LinkedIn profile in the chat in case anyone wants to connect with you? Is that okay? Let me put that.
Yes, please. We're definitely going to talk about, the difference between IT sec governance and data governance. Data governance is a piece
Yeah.
of IT sec governance. So the plans that we have around data, the strategies that we set up around data, producing high quality data, producing usable data, producing data that's fit for its purpose and for understanding. It's a much smaller subset of IT security governance, but it's definitely a very strong pillar.
And I love what Alana said here as well. It's tracking the data journey from the moment data comes into the org, how it flows through systems and destroying it. The governance throughout this journey is such a challenge.
It
Looks like
is, and
you feel that pain.
frameworks are different per industry, per organization. So everybody's got something. That journey is different for everybody.
Yeah. Thank you, Cher. And I think you were going to ask me a question then before I rudely interrupted you. I'll just make sure you're taking a sip of your drink before I say that.
Well, I just want to know, what have you been working on? What?
Well, this is going to sound a little bit staged because Cher and I have been chatting and working together on something in the background for a few weeks now. We're going to use this opportunity to announce that with not too much fanfare, but I'm going to bring this up on the screen for you all to see. We are bringing an InfoSec Live mini-con in conjunction with Cher and Fox Consulting to the Cable Center in Denver, Colorado on the 20th of September this year with a focus on AI in security. I'm not going to go through this whole deck with you, but the page I want to just bring up here is what we're going to be doing at the event. So we're going to have the usual stuff, but we're also going to have a cyber escape room that's being hosted by some UK law enforcement professionals who are flying over especially for the event. We're going to have a whole vendor arena where we're also going to have lunch served with no pictures and no badge scanning. So we're going to do it a little bit differently. We're going to have some fireside chats, and we're going to have 4 breakout rooms, and we're going to have an amazing keynote and panel session in there as well. And I suppose, Cher, what we should really do at this point is a call for papers. So if there is anyone out there who's interested in speaking at the event, we're going to announce this formally, probably on Monday. I've been away this week, but we'll do a little announcement on LinkedIn and across social media with more information. Tickets and stuff will be available probably within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And I suppose the other thing I'd like to say is a call for sponsors. We are looking for sponsors for the event. We've locked the venue in. It's happening. We just need some sponsors to come in now and help us support this. Have you got anything to add, Cher, to that?
No, the Denver community is really excited about it. We've been lightly socializing it amongst some of the cybersecurity chapters here locally. And we do host, the city and our area does host a lot of cybersecurity conferences. And we've taken into account some of that feedback that we've heard about what other conferences are doing. And we are really trying to bring something different, let alone it's InfoSec Live. We've never hosted you here. So that's going to be really exciting. We know that you visit some other cities, and we're definitely excited.
And I can't wait to come to Denver. And I think the other feedback we've had from you and from other practitioners who live locally is it's always the same businesses that they get to hear from in the area. So if there's any companies out there who are looking to break into the Colorado market, I would suggest this would be a really good opportunity for you to come in and get your faces and names known, and perhaps have a little input with local people. But if anyone's interested in sponsoring or speaking, my email is in the chat there. As I said, we're going to release some more information about it next week, probably Monday through Wednesday at some point. If anyone's got any questions in the meantime, reach out to me through LinkedIn or the email. Cher, it's been such a barrel of fun, as it always is when we speak. Thank you for sharing your story today. Any wise words, or do you have a book recommendation that you can give us before we go?
Oh gosh, I'll give you just a touch of both. So wise words, and something that we really talked about in the information security webinar this morning: take care of yourself, take care of the people around you. The cybersecurity incidents are not going to lessen. They're only going to keep coming. So we have to be prepared, and we have to be relieving each other, and we have to be loving each other. As far as my favorite book right now, it's going to be the Dama Dimbach Doorstop. This is the book I studied last year with my local chapter, and I did pass the Certified Data Management Professional certification exam. I was just 2 points under master, so I'm gonna have to go after
nearly.
Again. I know, so close, but so far. So,
and does it also guarantee you a straight 8 hours sleep if you read it for 5 hours non-stop, or is it actually
you
quite
could never read this for 5 hours. It's bigger than a sheet of paper, I think, or it's just a sheet of paper.
It's huge. Look at that.
It's actually bigger than a sheet of paper. But there's some really great chapters in here on data governance, data architecture, data security, and data analytics. So you don't have to consume the whole monster in one meal. You can enjoy it in still very filling bite-sized pieces.
Bite-sized chunks. Cher, thank you so much. Everyone in the audience who's watched this, thank you for taking the time to tune in. Cher, thank you for taking the time to come on. We'll see you all next week. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.